You know what cures the crushing boredom? Making yourself learn how to type on a weird new keyboard. What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. I've been wanting a split ergo Alice style board for a while now, but the in-stock options are pretty lacking. I was very interested when ACO launched the ACR Pro Alice, but it was sold out for what felt like forever. Until now that I'm filming this, of course. I was also super close to pulling the trigger on the fancy Alice 66, if for nothing other than that price. But it doesn't have the extra B key on the right side, and that is a complete deal breaker for me. A lot of my search for a good Alice split ergo style board was met with obstacles like these. Completely unlike hitting the sub button, that's obstacle free. And then Keychron steps in with the launch of the Q8. It's an Alice style layout in a CNC'd aluminum case with a steel plate, gasket mounted with the flex you'd expect from the Q series, south facing switches, screw-in stabilizers, several options for ANSI, ISO, pre-built, bare bones, and knobs, and the Q8 comes with a factory tape mod. There is something missing from the Q8 though. The foam. There is no case or plate foam anywhere to be found in this kit. I'm not sure if it was a trade-off of the foam for the tape mod, but if it is, I think that's a bad trade. It is much easier to slap some tape on the bottom of the PCB than it is to get foams that fit this unusual layout. But we'll do our best to make this as good as I can make it. The box is what you'd expect from Keychron, and the same applies to what's inside of it. It also comes with a hot swap disclaimer card, user manual, a straight USB-C cable with a Type A to Type C adapter, extra screws, gaskets, and bump-ons, a quick start guide, keycap puller, screwdriver, hex key, and switch puller. There are just 8 screws holding the case together, 1 JST cable, and a few more screws under the tape mod holding the plate and PCB together. After that, it's onto the stabs. Now, while the Q8 does come with pre-lubed screw-in stabs, they're not as good as the stabs that came on my Q1, and I swapped those out anyway. So I'm going to be swapping them out with my current favorite stabilizers, AL stabs. You could absolutely tune up the included stabs with minimal effort, but AL stabs have been my go-to since I first tried them out. Just a little 205 grade 0 on the housings and a nice coating on the wires, and we're ready to go. To my surprise, the Q8 was nowhere near as pingy as the Q1 was. Keychron did a great job listening to the community feedback and adjusting their products based on it. And while it's very acceptable with no other mods for beginner enthusiasts or regular people that don't go into debt for keyboards, if you're anything like me and find yourself far too deep into this rabbit hole we call a hobby, you'll probably want to take it a little bit farther. Even though it's not as pingy as my Q1, it still has some ping. The force break mod clears that right up. Before I go any further with the mods, I wanted to see how this sounds with no extra dampening, since that's how they decided to sell this one. For switches, we're going back to old reliable Gateron Black Ink V2s, lubed with 205 grade 0, filmed with desk key switch films. An absolute classic, and still one of my favorite switches. For keycaps, I wanted to go a little more stealthy and subdued for this one, so I'm using nice PBT black on gray from Canon Keys. Just like all of my nice PBT sets, these are amazing quality for the price. Thick walls, a great amount of texture, very consistent legending, enough kitting for any board, and they only cost 66 USD. Let's see how it sounds with no dampening and just the force break mod. Honestly, not bad. It sounds pretty passable in this condition, but I do still wish there was foam included with this kit. It sounds just a little bit hollow, and I think some case foam would help elevate this just a little bit further. But case dampening is the easier of the two to improvise. To my surprise, Keychron actually sells plates for all of their Q series boards now. I really wanted to get the FR4 plate, but the ANSI version has been sold out for so long and I really can't put off making this video anymore. I'd go for the polycarb plate, but I really haven't enjoyed polycarb plates without plate foam in my experience, so we're gonna have to make the included steel plate work. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see an update video when I can get my hands on the FR4 plate. As for dampening, we're going with polyfill. There's only a little bit of hollowness coming through and there's not a ton of room in the bottom case of this board, so I feel like kill mat will be a little overkill, no pun intended. Polyfill should be just enough for this. And it helped enough. It's really subtle, but it filled out that hollow sound I was hearing a good bit. I still stand where I did before. I would prefer to have foam included with this board instead of the tape mod if that was the trade-off. I'd love to pick up the FR4 plate option when it comes back in stock, but otherwise I think this is a pretty solid option if you're looking for an in-stock aluminum Alice board. If you know of anywhere making foams for the Q8, or if you'd like to see a follow-up video when I can get my hands on the FR4 plate, let me know down in the comments. Also, let me know how long it took you to adjust to typing on an Alice. I'm still about 10 to 15 words per minute slower than usual on this thing. Before I leave you here with the sound test, I'd like to remind you to drop a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you're not already. My goal is to hit 500 subs by the end of the year and I really think we can do it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.